it going? Welcome to episode 10 of Living Well. I'm so excited about our guest today. I hope you all are having a wonderful week so far. Happy Tuesday. Let's get right to it. Let's welcome our first guest. Our first guest, American country music singer, guitarist, and songwriter. His song Prayed For You was his first #1, curator of the Penned Up series on Instagram, which yours truly was a member of. His current single, Everywhere But On, is flying up the charts. You should all go check it out. Please welcome our guest, Matt Stell.
Lindsay L, what's up?
You know, just living the good phase 2 quarantine life. What about you?
Phase 2, you got to enjoy the little things.
Gotta enjoy the little things, baby steps.
Yep. I had a beer on a patio the other day. It was nice.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yep. It's the little things.
That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. How has your quarantine been as a whole? Like, what have you learned in the past 3 months?
I've learned that it's even with one person living in a house, it's kind of hard to keep it clean.
Yeah.
I've learned that. I've learned that. I've learned how much I like being. I mean, I knew I love being on the road, but I miss it, and I miss not just the music, but being around my buddies and the guys on the road, and how much you miss your friends and that stuff. I've been positive things, silver lining. We were just talking before we started, but I've been writing a lot, and that's been good. I'm hitting a wall a little bit, but I've been very creative, so that's been fun. And usually this time of year is not a creative time. It's sort of a time to reap what you've sowed creatively.
Yeah.
Right now, but right now we have extra time to plant, so that's what I'm trying to do: plant seeds.
So true. Well, good on you. So you started an Instagram series called Penned Up.
We started an Instagram.
Well, you're so sweet. You invited me, but true. You were kind enough to invite me, and we did every single week of it, which was amazing. I want to ask, well, first, thank you for letting me be a part of that. For people watching who don't know what Penned Up was, Matt texted me one day and he was like, hey, would you want to be a part of like this Instagram writers round where we write songs in quarantine that week? And Matt and I wrote a lot of 100%ers, I will say for the record, where we just
wrote the most, but
by ourselves in our houses every week of quarantine, and then get on Instagram Live and play them. And I was like, yes, I totally want to do that. So what was your favorite episode of Penned Up? I know they probably all look like a blur right now, but what was your favorite episode?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's hard to say. I know that because a lot of the songs were really great. I think one that stands out was when I think when Seaforth came on. I'm a big fan of those guys, and man, hearing their harmonies and hearing new stuff playing is kind of a different shift in gears.
They're so funny too.
They're so funny.
They're so funny.
Yeah, it's just like hanging out with your buddies. We had Travis Denning was great having him on. He's got a #1 right now, and he's celebrating. I'm excited for him, and it's even early on when Hardy was on there. That song he played, "Broke Boy," was really cool, and J-Mo just always playing great songs. So it is kind of a blur to remember that, but a lot of it was just like it always is like hanging out with your friends and listening to songs. It's just a ton of fun. So and I think they're on Facebook somewhere archived. So
I know, so you can go back and watch them if you missed an episode. Do you think you will do anything with any of the songs that you wrote during Penned Up?
I might, one of the songs that I played, it's like called "Drinking Country" or something. I find myself playing that from time to time, and usually if I do that with a song, that's usually kind of a good sign. So we'll see. I'm pretty much done with the record right now, but I've got room for maybe one more song, so might do that. Another one of those 100%ers that I wrote that I play called "Take Forever." That's a song that I kind of dig too. So I don't know, we'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in my deep dive, you played college basketball.
I did, yep.
And was there ever a plan to keep going with that? Did you ever want to keep going with that?
Yeah, there was a plan to do there. Well, there was a couple iterations of that plan. #1 is when I got to college, I had hoop dreams. I wanted to play professionally, and then the summer in between, well, you know, I was playing D2 ball, which is still pretty good, but it's not like, you know, it's not where all the lottery picks are coming from. But I was still playing against a lot of good guys and a lot of dudes that played professionally after that. But man, one pro-am in the summer between my freshman and sophomore year, I was playing in a pro-am league in Little Rock, where I'm from, right close to where I'm from. And I was playing against Joe Johnson and a couple other NBA guys, and Joe was at this time was an all-star. I mean, he was literally an NBA all-star. And I mean, it's just a different level of like athleticism and just I mean, you know, I'm 6'7", and I'm, you know, wasn't big enough for my position.
6'7".
Yeah, so like those guys, man, you know, it kind of like you look at that and you go, my dream might still be to play ball, but it ain't to play against those guys because they're bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah.
And then there was a time that I thought that I might play in Europe. I had some friends doing that and things, but honestly, when I got done playing ball, I was so ready to be done. I started playing music, and that was really what I wanted to be doing, and made that transition pretty easily. They kind of, because you know, your passions take up time in a different way, and I was ready to pursue that. So I briefly thought about it, entertained the idea of playing overseas, but quickly decided I'd rather play guitar than basketball.
I hear you there. Okay, so side note, you're 6'7", I'm 5'3". I clearly do not have these issues, but do you ever have to sit in the exit row or request the exit row, or do you always try to sit in the exit row?
Like, I always try to sit in the exit row, or in a on a Southwest plane. I like to sit on the very first row because it's the bulkhead and there's a little
bulkhead, yeah.
There. So yeah, that makes it nice. You know, sometimes the Southwest planes with the exit row where it's got the seat that, you know, the one seat out.
The one seat missing.
Yeah, that's kind of the sweet spot for the kid.
That's Matt Stell first class right there.
That's exactly right. That's where I like to be. So
I like it.
Definitely.
So also, you were playing college basketball. You were working on a master's in communication, and then going to work on pre-med. So where in your education journey did you decide that you wanted to do music? And did you always know this, or was there like a hard pivot where you were like, you know what, I want to do music full time?
Well, so I started playing the chronology is this. I started playing music when I was getting my undergraduate degree playing basketball. And then when I graduated from there, I enrolled in a master's program and eventually ended up at the University of Arkansas getting my master's. And while I was doing that, I was playing music, and because the time demands are so different, you know, I was able to do them both. And I had a pretty good gig at Fayetteville where I was a teaching assistant. So I basically had, you know, my school was paid for, and I got a little stipend to pay for rent. So all that was nice, you know, just kind of living. Those were some fun times. And then you know, learning how to play music, and because I started so late that the curve, you know, the learning curve was pretty steep. So I, you know, luckily was able to stay busy playing shows. And that was sort of one thing that happened. And then after that, after I graduated with my master's, I moved home. I started working for my dad a little bit while I was playing music. And then I started working for my, like taking care of my grandma's farm. And then I basically got to where I could, just, you know, make ends meet, live hand to mouth playing music, just, you know, anywhere, and had a band. But the pre-med thing didn't come along until after. I decided after I'd had a little bit of success writing in the Texas red dirt scene with other artists, that I was like, well, man, if I can write, you know, hits on Texas radio, maybe I can do it, you know, on national radio. So that's when I moved to Nashville, and I was here probably like about 3 years, and I hadn't had the opportunity, maybe 2 or 3 years. I hadn't had the opportunity that I was looking for in terms of a publishing deal, so I could write songs. I'd had some offers, but nothing panned out, and it wasn't what I was looking for. So I was kind of looking for something new to do, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do anything, I had to be passionate about it. And so I went on this long story, but I went on this medical missions trip to Haiti, and I'd worked alongside doctors, and I just saw kind of just how they could improve people's lives, and the positivity and just the real value add they were to humanity. And I thought, man, if I wasn't going to play music, I'd want to do something like that. And so I applied to this pre-medical program, and it was basically, it's a post-baccalaureate program. So it was for people like me that had a degree but didn't have the hard sciences that they needed to apply to med school. So I applied to this program and I got in, and I was probably 2 months from leaving Nashville when Ash Bowers, I met him and he offered me a publishing deal, and that turned into management deal with him, and then that turned into putting out an EP with Prayed For You on it, and that turned into a video and then a song on country radio and then the #1 song last year. It just snowballed.
So crazy.
Crazy is the right word.
Crazy. It's crazy, like our journeys as artists. I mean, everybody's journey in their life, but sometimes like the things we go through and the hoops that we have to jump through to accomplish what we do, or to even just let those lucky chances arrive in our lives at the same time. It's fascinating. I love hearing the timeline of everything. Okay, so yes, Prayed For You, your first #1. Congratulations. We've been on so many shows together, Matt and I, where I have gotten to see everybody in the audience lose their mind singing every single word to that song. It's just such a cool moment. I love seeing crowds sing songs in like unison. It's just, nothing will beat that feeling to me. But great. I was watching the music video for Prayed For You earlier today again, and Savannah Chrisley's in it, and that's so awesome. How did you get, a star from the Chrisleys in there?
Well, and that really was a big value add for us, because it got a lot of eyes on that video before that song was even at radio. That song was available streaming, but it wasn't at radio at that time. Well, basically, my management team reached out to Todd Chrisley and Savannah about being part of it, and they don't do a whole lot of that stuff. So the fact that we even cut through the noise and somebody even got an email and heard the song and said, "Wow, that's something we want to be a part of," man, it was a really big deal for me, and I really appreciate them doing that, and it really worked out well, because her boyfriend Nick is in the video, and we kind of outsourced the chemistry, I like to say, because we brought them both in. You could tell they liked each other, and it wasn't uncomfortable at all on camera or anything like that. And I was able to be more of a narrator, which I enjoy with that song, because for a lot of reasons, but I thought it really effectively told the story a little bit better that way. So yeah, it was great having Savannah as part of that, and she's been a good friend, and as has Todd Chrisley, her dad, who's one of the funniest people that there is. So.
He's so funny.
Man.
That's so awesome. Well, your current single, Everywhere But On, is flying up the charts. Congratulations about that.
Well, thank you very much. It is it's a surreal feeling for sure, and that song is one of my favorites that I've ever written, and I'm lucky with my label situation that I get to have a lot of creative leeway from writing the songs to, I co-produce them. So I have a hand in everything creatively, soup to nuts. And that was one of my favorites. So when I do typically elicit the opinions of the people that are going to have to work that song, the regionals and the Sony folks, the Arista folks, that, I want them to be excited about what they're going to work and send to radio, because they know it better than I do. They know what works better on radio. And I just feel like if I turn in a batch of songs that I believe in, I don't really care which one they pick necessarily for it to be on the radio. That being said, that song in particular, though, is one of my favorites. And when they were like, "Man, we think Everywhere But On" is kind of raising its hand as a single, I was like, wow, well, that's incredible, because that's one of my personal favorites too.
Well, that's awesome. We are so excited for you. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to hang with us. I cannot wait to see you soon in person, whenever that time may be. I guess it's phase 2, so I guess we're able to to leave our houses now, which is a step in the right direction.
Right, and I owe you several consecutive drinks for
Oh
spending
yeah, that's
2 months
true.
with me. For spending 2 months with me on an Instagram live thing that forced you to write a song every week. You're such a trooper, and you
Hey,
really
I loved it. For the record, I loved the challenge of having to write 100%. It was nice to know that I still could finish a song by myself.
100%. And yeah, and you were by far the best looking of the square.
I don't know about that, but
yeah, you're better looking than Jameson, and yeah, so
well, thank
so,
you.
well, thank you, and I appreciate you having me on. I still think the name of this should be "Welcome to a Living L," but I respect your decision creatively to go a different direction.
I mean, with everything going on in the world right now, it probably would be taken the wrong way.
Probably.
So we'll just keep the positive twist. Maybe one week we'll have like a theme week or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, Matt. Well, thank you so much.
All right, girl. Appreciate it.
See you soon. All right, guys, next up, we have an Olympian track and field athlete specializing in pole vault. She is the reigning Commonwealth Games champion in women's pole vault, following the 2018 Games in the Gold Coast, as well as she is from Canada. Please welcome Alysha Newman.
Hey, girl! Nice to see you. I feel so excited to talk to you. I was looking forward to this, and I was hoping to see one of your shows this year when you're going to come back to Canada and perform, but I guess I'll have to wait another year to listen to you sing again. But I have you on download all your music, so I listen to you in the car like every day. So you're supporting
so much. And so you guys know, Alicia and I met. We were on a trip together in the Cayman Islands. So we met like in paradise, basically, working with some of our partners and our friends, and had so much fun. And we've just been BFFs ever since. Obviously, we're both Canadians, but Alicia's just so incredible. She's so talented in so many things. And I need to ask you, how did you originally get into pole vaulting?
Yeah, I find that it's like everyone looks at me like, Alicia, really? Like out of everything that you could have chose,
right? Like
you're pole vaulting.
Soccer, some play volleyball, some swim. Like, how did you get into pole vaulting?
Well, I find that event is so unique. It's very an event that chooses you. It takes a lot of patience at the beginning, but I always knew in the back of my head the main goal was to make an Olympic team and represent Canada. That has always been a passion of mine since probably 6 years old, and watching the Olympics every 2 years, the summer and winter. And so I think when I was a gymnast and I grew really tall and the skills started getting hard and I fractured my L5 vertebrae and I was forced into retirement at 13, I really thought that that was kind of my end all be all of athletics. I was just going to go back to school and just focus on schooling, get an education, and then, see where life takes me. And I think people knew I wasn't as happy. My parents definitely knew I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to keep pursuing in athletics. And that's kind of how it started. We kept like dabbling into everything. My parents were incredible, putting me in everything from dance to hockey, to Timbit hockey, to soccer, to gymnastics, to piano lessons and singing lessons. And I seemed that when I was in the gym, I never wanted to leave. But of course, when that all kind of came and I couldn't do it anymore, we're like, hey, well, where are we gonna refocus? Well, my mom, like, she sat back, she says, well, she flips in the air, why don't we put her in diving? Well, I didn't like how the chlorine made my hair all like frizzy, and I hated that. But in track, I loved that I could do multiple events. That track and field was broadened, so I could try different things and see what I was great at. And that's how it kind of started. I started as a hurdler, and then I went into the pentathlon at that age. And I was trying high jump and shot put and sprinting and hurdling and everything. And then the manager of that club was like, Alicia, have you ever tried pole? And they're like, Alicia, you have to just give it a try. I was like, okay, I'll try it. They said, take 6 months to learn the event. It's going to be really boring because you got to learn how to hold the pole, how it bends. You just got to learn a lot of like technical things behind it and what this pole and this object does for you. So I did, and it was very boring, but I was thankful that I was still hurdling and doing other events at the same time. And finally, after 6 months, I said, okay, Alicia, let's try a meet. So I went to my first meet and I jumped 315, my very first height, my very first meet, and that was the meet. I broke the record. I was like, you know what? I loved seeing my name on a piece of paper on a sheet that to that meet, nobody's ever gone better than me. Does that make sense? So I liked that I was turning the impossible into possibilities and raising the bar for people then to now try and jump higher than me. And that's kind of how it worked with a lot of my track stuff and what I do now. It's like, I want to do what something nobody's ever done, and that's where I drive my motivation. And then it just kept rolling, like where it was like I wanted to turn the impossible to possibilities, and pole vault allowed me to do that because nobody in Canada was jumping higher than me, and it motivated me to like raise the bar to motivate people around me. And I want that. I want Canada to be known not just for hockey or for artists or for acting and like that. I want people to know that we're athletes too, and I love that.
I absolutely love that. So it's your full-time job, right? You are an athlete.
I am an athlete.
Which is so crazy to say, but at the same time, I think people need to know that, and people need to focus on the fact that if you really commit yourselves to what you want to do in life, you can turn it into a job, and your dreams can become reality. So you were preparing to go to the Olympics this year.
Yes.
Funny. Was the Olympic team finalized, or were you preparing to still qualify? Did you have like a time that you were supposed to leave?
Yeah. So how it works for track and field, every sport's different in the Olympics, but for us, we qualify about a month before, which is crazy. Like a lot of people are like, wait, how do you train 4 years and not know till the month before you leave? And it's just how it is. Our athletics want us to be who's at their best, the closest to the Olympics. So you have to be top 2 at nationals, and then you have to hit the Olympic standard or be top 32 in the world. So if you're top 32 in the world, you get an invitation from the Olympic Committee. But if you don't, I guess, succeed the country's obligations, then you couldn't go, if that makes sense. Yeah. So if I were to go and get 6 at our Canadian championships, I would have to go through appeals and tell them like, hey, it just wasn't my day. Like, and there'd be a lot of court and lawyers and stuff behind that, where if you're top 2, then you're automatic in, and as long as you have Olympic standard. So it definitely wasn't chosen yet. I mean, there's a good about 4 or 5 girls here in Canada that have potential to be Canadian Olympians. And so you never know that day. You just hope that everything's on that day and that everything's good to go and you can qualify for the Olympics.
Oh my goodness, that's insane. So with the Olympics happening next year, do you know how that's going to work? Do you just train consistently for the next year? Does that throw off your training game because you were prepared to go now, like in a month?
Literally, I know. I like woke up the other day and my mom texted, she goes, do you know like in a month you would have been at the Olympics, your second Olympics? I was like, Mom, don't tell me stuff like that. You're giving me anxiety. I'm like, wait, should I be training right now? Like what? No. It's the same thing, like every athlete is preparing 4 years ahead, but we also have major championships in between those 4 years. So that was obviously the Olympics this year. We're thankful that they have announced that there's going to be an 8-week track cycle in August and September. So they're hoping to still have meets for us to compete against the elite of elite, so that we're back in that high performance end, because it'd be like us just, like you not performing in front of a crowd, you get in a rhythm, you get in like this routine of like, it becomes a confidence issue, and it becomes like you need to be there to fix yourself to be better, right? I'm still fingers crossed that the borders are going to open up in the next month or so, and that we can be able to get a flight to Europe so that we can be down there. We would quarantine there about a week before and then stay there the entire 2 months while we're competing, so that we don't have to keep quarantine when we're coming back and forth, and then hopefully get into that cycle. But definitely you kind of have to like reset your mind. You have to be like, okay, there's not Olympics happening this year. What can we do to get ahead of the game? And my coaches and I sat down like literally the week that everything shut down, and we just said, what is your like weaknesses? What can we take this year and use to like make yourself a level higher that when we get back. And so we're working on speed, we're working on technique, we're pushing my grips and the size poles that I'm on. We're really trying to take this year as like a positive, like every year you get better as an individual on or off the track. Have a down year to like fix on things that I don't have time to when I'm in season. So that's kind of how we're looking forward to it. And then come October, the Olympic cycle starts. So we start preparing in October 2020, going into 2021.
Wow, that's so crazy. Okay, well, you've been to the Olympics. You were on the Olympic team in 2016. And so I want you to tell people what it's like. Like, what's the Olympic Village like? How many other events do you actually have time? Can you actually go see other events? Or do you have such a busy schedule that you need to constantly, you know, just do your own thing?
Yeah, I think every athlete is like individualized, but for me, if I'm not ready starting of those 16 days that the Olympics starts, then I shouldn't be there. So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not overtraining my body. I'm resting a lot. Like I am sleeping, I'm resting, but I'm also have this, like I need my mental happiness. So that is going to meet other people, going to cheer on the other Canadian athletes. I love watching the gymnastics and I love watching the horseback riding and all that kind of stuff. I love to see, and just to get also motivated and see like if you can learn anything from them, or how the crowd's like, you know, just anything that possibly could help you and just set you up to have the best day of your life on that Olympic day when you perform, is kind of like my mental going through it, but also taking it in. Like you've been working so hard, and that's what I tell like new athletes that are like, what do we expect? And I say, take it in. You've been training so hard the last 4 years, or even since, if this is your first Olympics, since you've been little, and you need to embrace it. You need to like listen and learn and enjoy that. If you come out with a medal, you did what you were supposed to do. If you didn't, you have done something that people wish that they were a part of their entire lives, and you need to embrace that and enjoy that. And so I definitely would say I took my first Olympics for granted. I made it so like, oh, I can't do this, can't do that, can't do this. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, take it in, enjoy that time, become a better person, enjoy it. And now I'm training already. It's like 4 years later, and I just remember qualifying for my first, you know? So it's definitely something that like, it's cool. And the Olympic Village, everyone's always asking about that. That stuff's fun because we actually, a lot of people don't know that each country gets pins. So we trade pins, and that's how we kind of, you know, break the ice to meeting new people. We're like, okay, I haven't had the American pin yet, or I haven't had the Trinidad and Tobago pin yet. Like, let me go meet somebody from there and give them a Canadian pin, and they give me their national flag. And so, so at the end of the 16 days, you have a lanyard full of countries all around your neck. And I think that to me was very eye-opening and very fun for me, just because I was able to meet people from all over the world and just hear their stories and where they come from, and their success and their way of looking at life and how they were brought up to be an Olympian too. So it's very, very cool.
Absolutely. Okay. Is it true that you get free Coke and free McDonald's in the Olympics?
Yes, actually. It is true.
Because I played one show when the Olympics were in Vancouver. I played one show in the Olympic Village, and I was astounded. Like, you go into the eating hall or whatever, and there's a set up McDonald's with the tables and the cash registers and the chairs. But you definitely get free McDonald's? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It is pretty cool. I think there's like a maximum per order because some people are going in and order so much stuff. But definitely like everything in the Olympic Village is just kind of scanned, and you just scan it, and like pops come out, or like they burgers, fries, whatever you want, you order it and they give it. I try to stay away from that until after I was done, just because it's like I can't gain weight right now.
Totally.
But definitely once it was done, I was getting the McFlurries, and it was funny because you could like be like add extra and then not feel bad because it's free, right? So that
no kidding.
Like, add like 10 scoops of cookie dough and Reese's cups for me, please.
That sounds like heaven. Okay, I also read that you eat your father's specialty sandwich
Oh yeah.
the day
Yes.
you eat. Is that something that you still keep up?
So when I'm in, I guess a controlled setting of like me not being all over the world, I definitely still have it. It's something my dad, I don't know if he decided to like start our day off right before we competed. He did for my brothers who play hockey and my sister who was a volleyball player. I think it was like that energy. He said it was like the gas to our engine. So what is it? Everyone's always asking me what these specialty sandwiches are, but it's so good.
I've tell us. But we want
No. I could tell you because I've changed it. So the original, no one would really know, but like I've changed it a little bit just the way my dieting is now. But I have an everything bagel with 1 egg, 3 egg whites, Swiss cheese, avocado, lettuce, tomato, bacon, and pickles, and then butter on each side of the everything bagel. And then you just eat that, and it's so good. And he'll just have a glass of water with lemon, or he'll give us chocolate milk or something like that when we were little. And we loved it because it was like, oh my gosh, competition day. That means we have specialty sandwich. Let's go.
That is so awesome. What is one accomplishment that you're the most proud of?
Wow. That's a really good one. I would say it would definitely be bringing home a gold in the Commonwealth Games. I think bringing home, I would say hardware that you could show to people of all the work you put in and have like evidence, if that makes sense, of like, okay, I'm not just this girl that pole vaults, and like goes and trains every day and is just a pro athlete. Like I was able to bring something home and put Canada on a map for the Commonwealth Games. I broke that record of the meet that day. And then standing for the national anthem with 80,000 people in the stands was incredible to me. People from all over all different Commonwealth countries were standing for our country. And I think that kind of was like a realization of, holy moly, like everyone's thinking about Canada right now. And that gave me so much love and so much light and so much excitement to like say like, we did it, we're on the top, like we did that. And definitely something like I still rewatch the video of me doing it and it's like, was that really me? Did I do that? So
yes,
definitely
you did, girl. Well,
one of the best accomplishments.
That is such a cool story. You're such a badass. And, from the first day I met you until now, you just completely embody strength to me. And, shortly actually before we met, your ex-boyfriend, Anthony Chiquillo, was arrested for physical harassment charges. Those charges were then dropped.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you shortly after that. How did it feel to have those charges dropped when you've been through all of these challenging things? And what can you say to other women who may have been through experiences like this, or maybe are going through something like this, to give them hope and to...
It was definitely a moment in my life that I never thought would happen to me. I think that's the first thing I tell young women and people that are battling with that at home, even children battling with that with parents, is always expect the unexpected from any human being. I think one thing is you're in charge of your happiness. And when someone in the household isn't happy, you have to remind yourself that you need to find that light that keeps you bright. And it was hard. It was definitely something I wanted justice, and I wanted him to realize what he did. But because I was so madly in love with him, I also didn't want to hurt him. And I think that is the balance. It's hard. It's like you sit there and you're like, love this man for 6 years, and now I'm supposed to go to court and see him and press charges against him. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. And everybody's gonna experience it differently. Everybody's gonna have a reason that they either need to do it or don't. I chose to step back and to completely cut off all ties. I chose to leave the organization and the NFL to do the right thing, in which they let me down. And I never saw that coming. I sit now and I wish I had done more to stick up for myself more, because, you know, I have people that I don't really talk to a lot, but have come back in my life and said, why didn't you press charges? And it was like, I wanted to, and I wanted to stand up for myself, and I wanted to know that what he did was not okay. But what was the bigger picture? I was tired that not all 6 years were bad. And that's what we have to keep reminding, is like the last year and a half was just a roller coaster ride with us. And I was done. I was done giving him any more of my time. I was done fighting to prove to him that he was wrong. I was fighting to help him to see that what he was doing wasn't right. I was done. Like, all I could do was leave. And the biggest punishment that he has is never having me again. And that is where I have wrapped my head around it. And that's how I've never got an apology. I still to this day haven't talked to him since they put him in handcuffs. And
Sorry.
I had to, yeah, it's hard because, you know, you love somebody and you think that they love you back, and that they would ever reach out to just make sure you're good. Do you know what I'm saying? Not even to get back in, or not even apologize. Just, are you good? Are you good? And there's been so many times that I sit here and I want to reach out to make sure he's good, because that's just who I was, and that's just who I am as a person. That's the way I was raised. I want to make sure that everyone is happy, if that makes sense. That's just kind of how my parents raised me. And so that's been the hardest thing. But if I were to tell people what to do, I can't tell you what to do. It's what you have to be able to live with. And this is the way that I was able to live with what to me. I was able to put that as a chapter closed. We're moving on. And I needed to see those, because I loved him so much, I needed to see that side to realize it wasn't healthy, that it was a toxic relationship. But I also don't ever wish that upon anybody, to ever be in that situation. At the end of the day, I do get people that know him and know me. I do get updates. He's doing well. He did get cut from that team, and now he's on a new team. So I'm hoping that he's taken our lesson, but our love too, and our positivity that we did have in the relationship, and grow from that, and reevaluate himself as a person, and is a better person because of what has happened to both of us. And that's the only thing I could hope, because I don't wish bad upon anybody. That is not something I believe in. I'm a big karma person. I believe what you put into the universe comes back to you. And I wish him nothing but the best. But what he's done to me is I forgive, but I'll never forget what's happened type thing.
Well, you are so strong. And I mean, you are an example of taking everything that has happened to you in your life and turning it into good, and seeing that strength and confidence and still fire inside your heart, and putting it into good things like your career and moving forward. And so you are just a shining example of how what we go through in life doesn't define who we are, but how we react to it does.
Yes, exactly. And I remember I think God brought you into my life for that reason, you and Taylor. And I think still to this day, like, even as far as we are from each other, and we can't physically be there for one another right now, but there's not a day that goes by that I don't remember what kind of light you both brought me that entire trip, and just the excitement and the, I guess, hope of that end of the tunnel of the dark time, you know. So I appreciate you guys, and you especially, for bringing that light out, because you're just as powerful, girl. Like, shoot.
Well, I appreciate you, and may everybody who's watching now know that you can be a light and you can be hope to those around you. Spreading love, especially right now, spreading love is so important to our fellow brothers and sisters and neighbors. Alicia, I love you to death. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to talk to us, and I cannot wait to actually see you in person.
I know.
Soon. And
when we get back together and quarantine's up, we'll have to do the girls trip again. We'll have to do it once a year, somewhere different every year.
Don't leave me out of a good time. I'm
right.
Well, thank you so much, girl. You're just so beautiful inside and out, and I cannot wait to see you soon.
Awesome. You too, girl. Take care. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
And now everyone's favorite time of the week. It's time for the Wellisms of the week. All right, in just 3 days, Desmond Hemmons and Christian Jackson, students at LMU in Los Angeles, partnered with 40 different student groups to raise over $40,000 for a variety of organizations supporting the Black Lives Matters movement. They accomplished this through designing an easily shareable bingo-like template to over 500 students to encourage donations. So innovative. Wonderful job. Very impressed. All right, Wellism number 2. Barbara Streisand gave a special gift to George Floyd's 6-year-old daughter, Gianna Floyd. Streisand helped Gianna become a shareholder in Disney by sending her an envelope of what appears to be a Disney stock certificate and a signed letter from the legendary singer herself. Barbara, if I could not be more of a fan already. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. So sweet. All right, the Ving Project is helping to inspire the next generation of humanitarians by giving away $1,000 checks to teenagers aged 14 to 18. Now, this money is not for the kids to keep. However, it's for them to give away to a neighbor or role model in their life. The teens simply submit a video as to why this person is deserving. And in the last month, over $250,000 in checks were given out. Watch this video.
Teenagers often get a bad rap for having a selfish outlook, but the Ving Project is flipping that idea on its head.
I believe in giving.
I want to do anything in my power to help.
Helping others is what makes me stay positive.
Liz Lakovsky founded the Ving Project to enable young people to help others, to create a new generation of givers. Through an online application, teens nominate one person they would like to surprise with a $1,000 check.
Hi, I had an opportunity to give somebody who I thought was deserving of $1,000.
Allowing teens all over the country to give a total of $250,000 last month alone.
Isn't that cool? That's amazing. Amazing. All right, now for the last Wellism of the week. This one made me smile, and I hope it does to you too. Thousands of people gathered in Portland, Oregon to protest for racial injustice and were welcomed by an unusual ally. He is named the No Drama Llama, Cesar. His owner, Larry McCool, says he has the personality of a friendly dog. He will walk up to people and lean right against them or snuggle with them and ask them for attention. He just wants somebody to hug him. McCool and Cesar marched around 3 miles with protesters, and many people stopped to hug the 5-year-old Lamactivist. That's amazing. Lamactivist. I love it. Cesar, yes, thank you for bringing joy to people. Well, guys, this was episode 10 of Living Well. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back next week with some very exciting updates, and I'm going to be bringing some music to you as well. So we'll see you guys next week.